Hello, welcome back to Farson's Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain. So last time we left off, we signed the Workers' Rights Bill into effect. Also had a discussion about how to allocate the funds for the Ministry of Justice. And we had a nice walk with our wife in the park, and somehow or another managed to get her a speaking gig at a film festival. So, let's go and just pick up here. We're checking out the newspapers like usual. Alright, so we've got two articles from the Lockhaven Times here, so let's start with this one. Explosion in Dyer. 3 killed, 22 wounded. Bomb attack on a police station in Dyer has killed 3 officers and injured 22 others, officials say. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. The police of Dyer said militants from the British Freedom Front, or BFF, were likely behind the attack, and reported that several militants also fired at the officers as they tried to escape the fires of the explosion in the treacherously pre-planned ambush. There has been a wave of unrest in Swordsland for the last couple of months. These attacks seem to suggest that the racial tensions in Bergia have also increased to very dangerous levels, which raises questions about how the situation should be handled. The Workers' Party of Bludia has condemned the incident, adding that the BFF does not reflect the views or the culture of the Bludish people. Nicosia has called on both sides to avoid violence, but stressed that Swordsland has the right to defend itself against attacks by Bludish rebels. Right, we've already read this one. So Detonation. Swordsland in a tough spot. Current political reports from the Ministry of Economy are pointing to a deep underlying problem with Swordsland's economic standing: debt. It appears that the current ventures to get out of recession have put a considerable dent in their reserves. Though the comments from the administration state that this situation is only temporary, that remains to be seen. Our economic advisors have commented on the matter, saying that the current stance of the administration is hiding the extent of the debt. This, of course, brings up the question: is Swordsland turning into a debt nation? I don't know what that means. Alright, let's check out Geopolitico. Says there's 2 here as well. I've already read that one. Alright. Smolak condemns Arcasian soldiers in Lesbia. Vlakovitz Valen. Vasic President Viktor Smolak on Thursday criticized the Lesbian government for bringing Arcasian soldiers close to the borders of Valen. Last month, Prime Minister Alvarez and President Walker agreed on the construction of several military bases in Lesbia that would station ATO soldiers. With the arrival of the first Arcasian soldiers to Lesbia this week, Valen's stance has become increasingly hostile. In his speech on Thursday, Smolak said President Walker has succeeded in spreading Arcasian imperialism to eastern Marcopa, which will have consequences for every one of us in the region. ATO is clearly expanding its influence in our region using Lesbia. We must be careful, said President Smolak, warning the neighboring nations of Agnolia and Swordsland to be prepared for future crises. And Chancellor Hegel condemns military buildup in Lesbia. In a press conference on Wednesday, Chancellor Hegel of Volksland condemned Arcasia for building a military base on the Ravnos Island. In his statement, Arcasia's action on the Ravnos Island is a provocative move that is undermining the peace and stability in the region. It is also threatening Volksland's national security. However, Volksland is not a country to be bullied so easily. We and the entire CSP coalition will correspond in force if Arcasia does not withdraw from the island. Cool, so both those articles are just looking at some like Cold War style posturing, so that's always fun. Nice, okay, so we have 2 more reports, and then there's 2 exclamation points. So we're going to start out here in Whole Sword, see what's up. Alright, General Staff condemns the administration. The General Staff convened at Camp Strongarm. A session much longer than usual concluded with the disastrous military analysis of Swordsland's field capabilities. The Chief of the Armed Forces, Vulcan Kruger, made a public press statement condemning the administration and its efforts to weaken the most important branch of the government, the military. All staff generals co-signed a letter of condemnation to the Reign administration. Okay. Well, they seem like douchebags anyway, so screw them. Considering everything leading up to me cutting their budget said that they were massively overfunded. and took far larger cuts of the budget than they really needed. So they probably have extra money sitting around. They're just being jackasses. It's fine. Alright, heading over to Dyer. Oh, so it's just another report on that police station bombing. In a treacherous attack, the BFF has bombed a police station in Dyer. Initial casualty reports are 3 officers dead and 22 wounded. Injured. Whatever. Perpetrators have escaped into the Gumran Mountains near Suzerain, and a search started to bring them to justice. The border guard has been notified of the attackers in case they try to flee to Valen. The Workers' Party of Bludia condemned the incident. Nice. Alright, so we've got story beats up here in Linkerd and Lockhaven. Let's go and start in Lockhaven since the mouse is already there. Alright, discussion of changes to the tax system. The National Business Council building. We were at the top floor of the Business Council building, which had a great view of beautiful Lockhaven. I looked outside from the tall glass windows. The Markian Sea stretched as far as the eye could see, and it was dotted with many ships toward the horizon. They were mostly cargo ships, carrying precious goods in and out of Swordland. Tracing back the paths of the ships, I looked at the harbor. Lockhaven was home to one of the largest harbors in the entire continent. Many dockyard workers were loading or unloading the containers. Work never stopped here. The door opened. Simon, Mikhail, and Edith entered the meeting room.
Mr. President. Mr. President, so nice to see you again.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. It's great to see you all again. Simon put down his bag on the table and started collecting his documents while the others slowly took their seats. Mr. President, before we start, I would like to mention some rumors that I heard. The Workers' Rights Act did not sit well with many business holders, especially the first section about the minimum wages.
I heard the same. This has caused these businesses to lose millions of rent just overnight. Unfortunate, really, especially during a recession.
What is really unfortunate, Miss Edith, was that this bill was enacted this late. Neither of them responded. Simon waited patiently. Once everyone was ready, he adjusted his glasses.
First of all, I would like to thank everyone here for their work on the tax system reform. We all know how complicated our current system is, and this work wouldn't be possible without you.
He turned to me.
The ultimate goal here is to end the recession. Before we move ahead and start formulating a plan, we need you to determine our direction, Mr. President. We have a few possibilities as a result of the work we have done so far. We can increase, maintain, or decrease the taxes for large corporations. I believe some of us in the room have a few strong opinions about this. In parallel, we can increase, maintain, or decrease the taxes for small and medium businesses. Well, let's start with large corporations, and we'll move on to small businesses.
What's the outcome if we increase the taxes for large corporations?
It's not an option at this point. Our economy is in shambles. Taking what's remaining from the businesses will destroy the economy further.
We could balance it by decreasing taxes of small businesses to put some relief on them.
I see. I'm not sure if that's a good idea with the current state of our economy. I do believe there's one way out of it. To get out of recession, it is through the trade and economic contribution of large corporations. Increasing their taxes will turn them on you.
I'll go a step further. Increasing their taxes will have disastrous results. It'll make you an enemy of them. An enemy of them. Trust me, Mr. President. Nobody wants to make an enemy of them. Maybe you're right. Well, then what if we decrease the taxes for large corporations?
Our government budget will be hit. But in return, due to the sheer size of the economic contribution coming from these companies, it should be helpful in curbing the recession. I do think this is definitely a good option if we want to end the recession, especially with the current state of our budget. I think this is a great idea.
Me too. You would have them on your good side on top of solving the recession crisis, Mr. President. Yeah, I have to agree. Being an ally would come in handy. Is there any downside to keeping things the way they are?
I am of the opinion that if we don't make any changes, nothing will change. To stop the recession, we need to do something. I think so too.
Agreed. Well, in that case, what does everyone think we should do?
My personal opinion is that we should decrease the taxes for large corporations, although in short term it will cost us, in the long run it would be the most helpful option in ending the recession. Our internal trade is driven mostly by the products of these corporations. They are the backbone of our economy.
Exactly. If we let them perform better by decreasing their taxes, this should in turn lead to Swordland receiving more investment. This means more capital, which means a quicker way out of the recession. Alright, I'm ready to make a decision.
Very well.
Oof. That's gonna hit me in the pocketbook, but we're going for it. Decrease the taxes for large corporations. An excellent decision.
I agree. Thanks to this, the recession will be solved in no time. I also think this was a good choice. Well then, I have taken a note of our action, and I will put it to implementation as soon as possible.
Simon opened his briefcase and swapped out the stack of papers he had in front with another stack.
Well, let's move on to the small and medium businesses.
Well, what's the outcome if we increase the taxes?
They are the backbone of our economy, and they are comprised of mostly regular people. If we start demanding more money from them in taxes, it might cause the public to harbor ill will towards the government. Our budget is in good shape. I don't see the need to increase the taxes at the cost of popularity. I think increasing taxes for these smaller corporations is a good way to earn some extra capital so the government can give it back to people in due time.
In the long run, increasing the taxes for small and medium businesses would make people happier with the services the government provides. People need their hard-earned money. Well, what if we just decrease the taxes then?
It should be helpful in curbing the recession for sure. Of course, it will come at the cost of losing some of our government budget. It is risky when we have no money left and we still have loans to pay.
Is there a downside to keeping things the way they are?
Swordland needs change to get out of the recession, but the current state of the economy is in shambles. There's not much change we can do about taxes.
Okay, well, I guess I'm ready to make a decision. Alright, we're going to increase the taxes on small and medium businesses.
Very well. I have taken another note. We'll look into how to go about implementing these changes. Well then, thank you everyone. That will be all for today.
Good work. They left the meeting room. I decided to stay a bit longer. Went by the windows again and kept watching the sea in silence for some more time. Alright, not 100% sure that was the best decision to make there, but we're going for it. I mean, whatever, it's fine. Alright, economy. Got tax breaks for private corporations, tax increase for small and medium businesses. Nice, that's exactly what I was afraid of. Small businesses stagnate because of the increased taxes. Tax avoidance, but the large tax break on large corporations are creating more jobs. So it seems kind of like a bit of a hit and miss there. Oops. Alright, that's just exactly what we just said. Alright, wow. 7 newspaper articles here. They're probably all going to be yelling at me. Alright, the whole sore post. Tax increases for small and medium corporations. In order to end the recession, the administration has announced new changes to the tax system. As per the information provided by the Ministry of Economy, the new changes include a tax increase of 10%, bringing the total to 45% for small and medium-sized corporations. President Lehren has approved the tax reform, and the changes are expected to come into effect immediately. Okay. Like, had it said that we crank the taxes up to 45%, I probably wouldn't have done that. That is ridiculous, but, well, too late now. Alright, the Lockhaven Times. Young Swords denies allegations. The vice president of the Young Swords Cultural Centers made an announcement today denying having ties to terror attacks. I or a cultural organization pose no threat to the national security of Swordland or to any other foreign country or state, he said. We have not and do not plan on engaging in acts of terror or violence. He also denied that the murderer of Bernard Circus was working for the Young Swords, saying that the murderer was just a lost patriot who probably worked alone. The vice president said he believes authorities misunderstood his expressed desire to be a martyr for Swordland, which was written in the entrance of his office. Young Swords is not a terrorist organization and will not bow down to fake accusations without any evidence, he said. Blaming a whole organization for the actions of an individual who is allegedly a member is absurd. He's not wrong, but at the same time, they're clearly fostering these types of thoughts and ideologies in these people, so I don't know. Still on the fence about whether I should have banned them or not, but I opted not to, so we'll have to deal with it. Alright. Torn Hill School wins award. The National School Rankings have announced their results for the 1955 school metrics. Surprisingly, in the category of primary and secondary education, the Torn Hill School has surpassed all others with the highest average results achieved in student performance, discipline, facilities, hygiene, and staff happiness categories. The NSR committee gave an award to the principal. Education experts believe that the principal and the head teachers excelled in taking responsibility for their duties, which led to better performance in many aspects. Upon closer inspection, the Lockhaven Times editorial team found out about how much delegation occurred in the staff that even included diligent teenagers to improve and maintain the operations of the school. That's kind of cool. Alright, the Radical. Red Youth calls for peace. Earlier today, Johann Gosmich, one of the leaders of the Red Youth, spoke to the public and condemned the opportunistic looting and violence taking place in cities across Swordland, saying it is not being done in the name of Bernard Circus. He denied terrorist allegations and condemned the attacks, saying that Red Youth has no connection to the violence. He accused the police of trying to sway the public opinion against socialism and legal millennialist groups such as the Red Youth. Some people are trying to incite violence and take away the meaning of these peaceful protests, said Gosmich, warning the protesters about inside people trying to exploit the situation. He also called for peace, saying that the justified and meaningful protests have already lost their course and started benefiting a select group of people. True enough. Alright, rain is the new toy of oligarchs. When will this end? The Ministry of Economy has just announced a tax increase for small and medium corporations, bringing the total to 45%, and tax cuts for large corporations, bringing the total to 25%. President Rain's priorities are now crystal clear. Instead of siding with his people, he decided to open his welcoming arms to large corporations and oligarchs. Some of his citizens still to this date suffer from starvation. He's declared his intention was to end the recession. That's a lie. The real question is, what is he getting out of it? Who bribed the president so that he ended up laying in the same bed with large corporations? I am very worried about the future of Swordland, and until President Rain leaves his chair, we, the Radical, will not rest. Alright, well, screw you too. Those large corporations are building more jobs and bringing more money into the country than little mom and pop shops ever will. I don't entirely like it, but like my advisor said, that's probably the best way to try to get us out of the recession, so screw it, it's fine. Alright, economists. Tax cuts for large corporations on its way. Huh, okay. Another weird sentence, it's all good. According to the information we received, the administration has decided to decrease the taxes for large corporations by 10% to a total of 25%. This comes as a part of the tax reforms to stop the recession. This move will surely be welcomed by many large business owners, and we believe this was a really good move to curb the effects of the recession. After all, large corporations bring in more money into Swordland, and they're the reason the recession is not worse than it already is. This decision will definitely benefit Swordland in the long run. There you go, that's exactly what I was just trying to say. Alright, Geopolitico. Back to more Cold War nonsense. Smolak threatens new military incursions targeting BFF. Vezek President Vitor Smolak has threatened to launch military operations in northern Valen, close to the borders of Swordland and Lesbia, against the Blutish rebel group, the BFF, which Vraklovitz considers to be a terrorist organization. In a television interview to Curry Sport for the next month's referendum to extend his presidential powers, Smolak announced that the military is preparing a new internal operation with possible cross-border implications against the BFF. Observers point out that a tough stance against the BFF, which is fighting for minority rights, plays well with Vezek nationalists. Smolak has pledged to eradicate the Blutish groups in Valen, the Democracy Party of Valen, and the militant organization, the Blutish Freedom Front, which is known to operate both in Valen and Swordland extensively. Such operations are fraught with military risks and the possibility of further exacerbating already tense relations among neighbors, particularly Swordland, due to the large number of Blutish minority living close to the borders, as well as the Arcasia-backed Lesbia. Despite such risks, some analysts don't rule out such military operation. Nice. Okay. Oh, got another new report up north here, in Rumburg. Alright, Queen Beatrice Livingston calls Swordland a threat to world peace. Queen Beatrice Livingston appeared on TV to call Swordland not just a threat to peace in Eastern Marcopa, but a threat to peace in the entire world. She condemned the riots and police violence in Swordland, also expressing her worries about the direction Swordland is headed. She urged the Rumburgian army to secure the southern border, citing violent incidents in northern Swordland. Okay, that's potentially an issue. But that's one for another day. Let's head to Lenkerg here. Briefing on the H3 highway construction issues. That doesn't sound good. Alright. The H3 highway construction created a second opportunity to visit the seaside town of Lenkerg, known for its salmon. Thousands of people from the city were employed for construction work for the new highway project. But the main purpose of our visit was to resolve the strike that began to endanger the deadline. The mayor welcomed us at his own mansion and took us on a brief tour in the city. We gathered at the city hall. Simon looked a little worried, but Lilius was dead serious. There was also a message of support from the mayor of Arvery, Eric Neal, who was grateful for the H3 investments. After dinner, we moved to a meeting room. Simon began.
Taurus Holding has reached out to us and requested more funds. As per the report they have sent, to finish the highway in time, they realized more capital is necessary due to the new labor laws. We scheduled the construction to finish sooner, but Taurus Holding might miss that target with the current trajectory. This is unacceptable. I should have known that a cheaper offer wasn't technically possible. We wouldn't have this issue if we decided to go with SSC instead of Taurus. Now they are requesting more funds to be able to cover the increased costs. If we don't provide, we could face a delay which would endanger our reputation.
Why do they even need the extra money?
They need it for unforeseen expenses that came from the new workers' rights bill. A couple shipment companies they had contracts with also increased costs of necessary materials. The state must have more control over these construction projects. For the next project, we should appoint a direct manager from the cabinet. One thing is for certain, our administration must avoid working for Taurus in the future, not for safe choices like SSC.
Yeah, mistakes happen in any project.
Maybe, but we could have avoided this issue. There were warning signs around Taurus all along. Will we sink more money into this or let them figure it out? Yeah, what is your decision, Mr. President?
Just screw it. Give them the additional funds.
As you wish. I'll allocate the funding to Taurus Holding. First they fail to do the job properly, then they get the money? Ridiculous. Regardless, the decision is made. Well then, thank you for coming. That is all in this matter.
Yeah, good night. Simon nodded and we left the meeting room. I mean, it's not their fault that I signed some extra bills into effect that changed the parameters of the deal there. Might very well regret going this far into debt, but I don't know. We'll find out. Alright. Visit and inspection of schools in Lehren. As part of the planned program, we arrived in Lehren to visit the middle school. The prestigious Torn Hill School was situated close to the suburbs just outside of the city center. The building was flanked by 2 hills, each beautifully dotted with shrubs and flowers. Lucien, Ciara, and I got out of our cars and met at the entrance. Our presence had not gone unnoticed. Apart from our guards, there were at least 10 reporters following us around.
That must be the principal. Right this way, sir.
The principal was a man of short stature, with a bushy mustache and a pair of glasses. He approached us quickly, but was stopped by the security guards. They started patting him down and searching him. I waited for them to finish searching the principal. One of the guards turned to me and nodded. Mr. President, such an honor to meet you. We shook hands, and I turned around and smiled for the cameras. Reporters instantly snapped a few photos. Welcome to our humble school. Sorry about the security guards. It's a necessity. Standard procedure. Excellent. You must be Mr. Gallard.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
And Miss Walda. So good of you to come all the way out here.
Thank you.
At the entrance, the school's motto is inscribed on the wall in giant letters. Instreten sis anginakar av gerigna ins olla omgervoltsena ins olla mexis. That was probably horribly pronounced, but that's alright. Education is the premise of progress in all societies, in all families. Oops, that was the principal. Well, whatever, it's fine. We walked through the gates. There were many students lined up in front of the stairs to the main building. The school band started playing as we entered. All the students immediately snapped to attention and turned to me.
It looks more like a military institution than a school.
Exactly. That's what we pride ourselves on. Discipline has the utmost importance in our school. And we need more educated people, not soldiers.
On that we are aligned.
I can assure you that our students are very well educated. In fact, our school is one of the top 10 middle schools in all of Swordland. Now, we watch the students take the daily student oath. A boy and a girl went up to the stage, grabbed the microphones. The students turned to them.
I am a sword. My strength lies in my blood. I will respect our honorable elders. I will protect the young. My life belongs to sword, and now will belong to it forever. I will always follow the guiding light of Colonel Soul and the great swords. And Magnivis Core Vectensista.
I did nothing.
I almost forgot the words.
Which proves the uselessness of the self. No one even remembers it after they graduate.
If you wish to follow me, we'll take a look at one of our classrooms. Alright, I'm pretty sure I keep changing the principal's voice. Through the hallways, we made our way to classroom 7A. As soon as I entered, the whole classroom rose up and snapped to attention. Sit down, please. The students sat down. The same boy and girl walked up to us. These are our top students in our top class. This here's my son. The boy came before me and saluted me like a military officer. Tell Mr. President what you want to be.
Mr. President, I want to be a general, sir. I am ready to sacrifice myself for the country and you, sir.
Holy crap. That's some nice nationalistic brainwashing, jeez. This is nonsense. What are you teaching these students? The principal looked extremely surprised. Was it not to your liking? I'm so sorry, Mr. President. The cameras flashed.
This is simply ridiculous. You're raising soldiers here, not students.
I am so sorry. I'll immediately perform disciplinary actions.
Young lady, what do you think about this?
She's the top student in the school. Her excellent grades are to...
I didn't ask you.
She bent down and gently addressed the young student.
What do you think about your school, just between us girls? I'm sick of having to knit and sew while the boys learn science and chemistry. I'm smarter than all of them. Why do I have to take these stupid handicraft classes?
Shh, do you know what you're talking?
Shut up.
Whoops.
Shut up. Let her speak.
Sarah's presence had emboldened the girl. She went on.
My math and reading scores are the best in the school. They won't let me take the class I want just because I'm a girl. I want to be a scientist, not some soldier's wife.
We need more people like you in this country. I applaud your determination.
We need more than words. We need action. Concrete action. We need to protect girls like this.
Cameras flashed once again. Looked around the classroom and saw a large portrait of Colonel Soule. Just take that down. What the hell? But sir, that's a portrait of Colonel Soule. We can't just take it down. Don't make me repeat my words. The principal reluctantly took the portrait down. Even the reporters looked confused for a minute before taking many photos of the portrait being taken down. Ciara was smiling, and when she realized I was looking at her, she nodded.
Well then, unfortunately we are almost out of time. We have other meetings to attend to today. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Mr. President, Lucian, please go ahead. I'd like to speak with the girl alone.
Very well. Thank you for visiting our school, sir. I'm terrified, don't know what's going on. Come on, class. 1, 2. All students in the classroom yelled, but the boy whom I met was the loudest.
I'm Morgan of West Corey!
I left the classroom. Another round of photos. After another round of photos, we departed. Cool, alright. Check out the news. The Whole Sword Post. President visits school in Lehren. A middle school in Lehren received a special visit from President Rain and Minister of Education, Mrs. Valda. Students and staff at Torn Hill School, one of the 5 most prestigious schools in East Swordland, welcomed the special visitors on Thursday morning. President Rain had expressed his wish to visit the successful Torn Hill School and spent the morning talking with staff and students, joining with lessons and hosting questions and answer sessions with the students. Through the visit, Torn Hill is delighted to have had an opportunity to represent the fantastic job that all staff members have been doing. Alright, the Radical. President Rain, the USP, and the Colonel. On Friday morning, President Rain and Education Minister Walda visited a middle school in Lehren. Known to be a proudly soulless establishment, Torn Hill School is one of the most popular middle schools in Swordland. During the visit, the president was seen speaking with the pupils and school staff before he ordered the removal of Tarkin Soule's portrait from the building. The reasoning behind this controversial and brave move still stands as an unknown, but it will surely create problems for President Rain with his own party. This event might have very well been just for show, or a sign that there are widening cracks between President Rain and the USP. Or is this a sign that the USP is finally feeling the pressure and opting for change in their values? Whatever the case might be, the foundations of the USP and the cult figure of Tarkin Soule seem to be losing its strength. Nice. Okay. So, I don't see any more reports. So, let's head back to Lehren here. And I guess continue on with that visit. So now we're going to a briefing on the proposal of education reform. We're still in Lehren, staying at a modest guest house for state employees. Ciara set up a meeting with me and Lucien to go over her plans for education reform after our school visit. Lucien was seated across from me at the table, going through documents. Ciara entered the room.
Well, after the visit yesterday, I couldn't even sleep thinking about that little boy and girl. I have never been more sure of my intentions to reform our education system.
Lucien took off his reading glasses and put it on the table. I agree. An educational reform is necessary.
Exactly. Most students have to repeat the same soulless propaganda every single day. They're being brainwashed at an age when their minds need to be free. On top of that, young girls are denied the same opportunity as boys. They're forced into the role of housewife before they even reach puberty. Nothing's changed since I went to school. Women like me, Lilias, Nia, even your wife, who had to study twice as hard to receive the same university education that you and Lucien took for granted. Is that the kind of country you want your daughter to grow up in? Mr. President, we need to bring change. We need to free the minds of these young people. They are our future.
Yeah, no kidding. Very well. What do we need to do for an education reform?
We need to keep politics out of the curriculum. Sol should only be viewed as a historical figure. Children shouldn't have to repeat his name every day. This is actively poisoning young, bright minds. Instead of thinking for themselves, they're learning to take things at face value. We also need to ensure boys and girls receive the same instruction. Handcrafts like knitting and sewing should be taught to both sexes or not at all. Swordland's youth must be technically skilled and capable for the next decade. It won't be possible with the amount of nationalistic indoctrination and narrow-minded thinking found in schools today. Either we raise a generation ready for the challenges of the future or not. What will it be, Mr. President?
I mean, I already know my answer, but... Lucien, what do you think?
As much as I respect Colonel Sol, his time has passed. Now is our time. I do think this might be the first step of a larger plan.
Okay, well, at least Lucien agrees. Let's reform the damn thing.
You will not regret it. I'll get to work immediately.
Now that the decision was made, let's move on.
Very well.
Sarah skimmed over her documents before continuing.
With no change in budget, the ministry is left to its own devices. We made some tough choices, but still lack additional funds. Therefore, we are investigating if privatizing education would draw enough funds to conduct investments.
What are the advantages of privatization?
There aren't many, but it would give us sorely needed funds and increase competition among schools.
It would support our overall economic strategy of promoting a market economy.
A few minutes of deliberation passed.
We can manage without additional funds. The only reason I wanted to consider it is to have more money to improve education. So, what's your decision?
Yeah, going to initiate privatization to draw more funds. This should allow for more competition and quality.
Will do. That should be it for now. I will get back to work and report back later.
Alright, this has been a very productive day. I will be returning to Ozord.
Thank you for your time, everybody. We dispersed after spending nearly the entire day together. I took a moment simply to breathe the fresh evening air of Lehren. I felt calmer here somehow, but I'd have to return to the chaos of whole sword soon enough. Cool, alright. Well, with that finished, I think now's as good a time as any to call it good for today. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.